Hello, this is Arc Gunner with my posse of peoples, and we just got back from Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Awesome.
And right now we are going to be doing our spoiler version of our reactions to the movie.
Spoilers!
So,
Spoilers.
spoiler alerts to everyone who has not seen the movie. Too bad, you should have seen it.
Leave.
Like, give him 2 seconds. Give him 2 seconds to leave the room.
You're still
I'm
here?
pretty sure they're
That was
gone
longer
by now.
than 2 seconds, not for nothing.
You're still here? Okay. So, as we all know, Captain America 2 is the sequel to Captain America, as well as the Avengers and the next slot on the Marvel Cinematic Universe movie timeline.
Basically.
Holy fuck, this movie, man! This movie
I think-
fucks with you.
Yes, I
It
think
really
that
does.
sums up all our opinions.
Oh.
So,
I cried several times. I was happy several times. I cried some more.
And I think we can all agree that Stan Lee is either a person with a very, very crappy resume or is possibly the Marvel equivalent of the G-Man.
I think he's the Watcher or the Beyonder, some extra dimensional being, because this guy hasn't aged since Captain America.
Yeah.
That was in like the 40s.
Yeah, and he's all over the place. Hell, there was even that one time in the Hulk movie where he pulled the soda with the Hulk's blood in it out of his fridge. He went, wowzers! And apparently he went into cardiac arrest or something.
So
They were never very clear about
Wait,
that.
how the hell did he make it into like soda or something?
It was part of the plot of the movie. Anyway, so the Winter Soldier, all of the promo stuff and all of the build up to this movie has been that it's going to be Cap reuniting with Bucky, and it's going to be Cap versus the Winter Soldier. We had no other news in regards to like what the villains were going to be or what anything was. It was just Cap and the Winter Soldier. And thank God they did not tell us a damn thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
You had something to say, Joe?
No.
I thought you were about to say something. Well,
Continue.
because as it turns out, everyone thought that Hydra was dead after World War II. That's not the case. In fact, Hydra has been active inside of S.h.i.e.L.D., growing like a tumor inside of S.h.i.e.L.D. until it's practically taken over, where the only people who could legitimately be trusted were Maria Hill, Black Widow.
Even then, there was like a lot of...
There was a lot of tension with
Yeah,
Black
was
Widow.
tension.
Especially with Nick Fury, you know, you never knew whose side he was on.
No, Nick Fury, you know whose side Nick Fury is. It's just...
He doesn't know who anyone else is on.
Yeah.
Which is why he has trust issues.
Including Cap.
He likes people. He doesn't trust people.
Yep.
Basically.
We have this cool scene. I swear to God, this was probably added in by Joss Whedon, knowing him. Because he's good at moments, and he's good at character moments. I'm not sure how...
The elevator?
The elevator.
The
Scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
The
this one
grandpa.
scene where Cap is talking with Fury, trying to learn a little bit about him, and Fury talks about how his grandfather used to work as an elevator clerk way back when, and way back when he would get a lot of tips from people, and he'd carry it home in his lunch bag.
And they would say hi to everyone, and everyone would say hi back.
But slowly the neighborhood got really, like, a lot worse, to the point where people would try to mug him. And so Cap asked, did he ever get mugged? And to which Fury replied, sometimes somebody will come up and ask Grandpappy what was in the bag, and he'd show him a bunch of crumbled singles and a loaded .22 Magnum.
That was a great scene.
That was a great
And
scene.
then he mentions that this is bigger than a 22 Magnum.
I think that's probably a 22,000 Magnum, if those sizes exist.
If that size exists, it'd be
basically.
close. And 3 of them.
The funny thing is Nick Fury doesn't need any compensation. That whole fleet is his compensation. Just, this is the size I have.
Yeah, basically.
Even that Magnum isn't the Magnum that he needs in the bedroom.
Yes.
Oh my.
Ah, that's
They don't
cool.
make a Magnum big enough.
No,
Nick Fury.
no, they don't.
Anyway, getting back. So For those who also saw the first one, we get the return of Arnim Zola.
Oh, that was an awesome way to incorporate him.
For those who don't know, in the comics, Arnim Zola, he made himself into an artificial intelligence back in the 40s.
And they kind of hinted at that in the last movie. They showed
Yeah,
it blueprints for
they showed him on the camera. But in here, he actually was an artificial intelligence. Only, he's not as advanced as, say, Jarvis. He was stuck on, like, 1970s era computers.
Supercomputers, where it's like an entire football field of nothing but...
Nothing but reel-to-reel computers.
Yes.
But it looked like an old school GLaDOS, which was really cool.
That
Like,
showed
Oh,
it
yes.
was really
That's honestly what
awesome.
it
And
felt
the room
like.
was giant.
You know he would have been GLaDOS.
Yeah.
If
man.
they gave him a movie.
I am still
He would-
alive.
Nice.
I'm doing science
Oh.
and I'm still alive.
Heil Hitler!
Guys.
Hail Hydra.
Hell,
and
Hydra, and I'm still alive.
the point of this movie was Nick Fury had gotten access to these files, and it said that, and these files said that he was locked out of the files, which is impossible. They were S.h.i.e.L.D. files. He's level 10. He is the highest level access of anything. He is the only person who can access every single nook and cranny of S.h.i.E.L.D. without any restriction.
Didn't he look to check who?
He looked
To see who locked him out of
to
it.
see who locked Nick Fury out of this file, and it said
Nick Fury locked himself out.
which is impossible.
Maria, I forgot my keys. Lock yourself out of the file again, sir.
Whoever gets their
And
password
then
from time
I
to
can
time.
imagine like Frozone and just have someone, I'm the greatest good you're ever going to get. Forget those files.
Oh man.
I have time. No, what was it? You make
I am sick of these motherfucking hydras and my motherfucking shield.
Right. So continue on with the
Continue
thing.
on.
Yes.
He couldn't get access, so he started looking around trying to figure out
Just check what I'm saying.
who locked him out, and that ended up in his assassination by the Winter Soldier. Assassination. I thought
we
it
thought it
was.
was true. We
I-
thought Joss Whedon
I-
went
I
there.
cried.
You guys thought it.
I didn't
I
think
thought
that.
it was
I thought
gonna.
Joss Whedon
No.
went there.
It's kind of obvious with Nick Fury. You could not kill Nick Fury.
Especially
but
with
at
the
the same
Avengers,
time,
too.
it was very emotional. It was
Yeah.
very emotional.
And me personally, I thought it was an LMD.
By the way, for whoever has seen the commercial, that scene where Black Widow has her hand on the sheet, everyone was wondering who it is. That's Nick Fury.
Yep.
They did another scene where there is no sheet. They put the one with the sheet in the
And
In
for
the-
the
for the
cinema, for the TV
trailer
trailer.
to make you go.
Yeah, because I didn't think they killed off Nick Fury because they're doing the Avengers too, and the only way you could get away with that is maybe have Phil Coulson, but I don't think they're bringing him out of
They
retirement.
just surprisingly they didn't even mention Phil.
They didn't
Yeah.
mention Phil at all, which is weird, especially for the people here and at home who have seen the most recent episode
Oh, don't
of
say anything,
S.h.I.E.L.D.
haven't
Don't
seen
say.
it.
Don't say.
I
Don't
haven't seen it
say.
yet.
She hasn't seen it.
Nor have I.
But for those who have seen it, you'll know it's going to tie in to Winter Soldier very
Yeah.
well because the corruption inside S.h.I.E.L.D. stretches to what's going on in Agents of S.h.I.E.L.D. Which leads me to question, at the end of Winter Soldier, it basically came down to S.h.I.E.L.D. ended up fighting itself because all the good guys in S.h.I.E.L.D. realized, oh shit, there's a lot of Hydra guys in here. And they started fighting each other.
Only after Captain America made an announcement.
Yeah, Captain America got on the PA system and said, yo,
After being hunted down
after
by
being
S.h.I.E.L.D.
hunted down by S.h.I.E.L.D., I figured out I'm not being hunted down by S.h.I.E.L.D., I'm being hunted down by Hydra inside of S.h.I.E.L.D. So guys, who I'm pretty sure not all of you are Hydra, how's about you, how's about you come out and help me?
Yeah, and then we basically had a Mexican standoff times about 1,000, which was probably the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my entire
It
life.
was.
That adorable little guy, I loved him.
I feel so bad for him. Did anyone notice if he got shot or not?
Oh no, he didn't. He
Okay.
went
Which
in.
guy?
The guy
The one
at
who
the
that refused.
You know,
Yeah.
at the terminal.
No, he got kicked under the table. He was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
yeah, they weren't good.
There was
Yeah, Sharon
this
Simpson.
scene where
Did we just
after
miss about 40 minutes of the movie?
Yeah, we skipped.
yeah we skipped, but there's this one scene where after Captain America makes a PA announcement basically saying that there's Hydra agents in here and that he needs the help of all the S.h.i.e.L.D. agents to like bring freedom back to the world and save the heart of S.h.I.E.L.D.
America!
Fuck yeah. So, they're preparing to launch Skynet, and there's
It's a
this
worse.
one kid, S.h.I.E.L.D. agent behind a terminal, and he's the one who's gonna activate. He's the one who was about to activate Skynet. But then they realized, shit, if we activate Skynet, we're giving Hydra the keys to the world. So one of the Hydra agents gets up behind him, points a gun at his head, and tells him to activate it.
And then another S.h.I.E.L.D. agent points at
Sharon Carter.
Sharon Carter. And for those who know, Sharon Carter, in the comics, is Captain America's wife/girlfriend. I'm not sure if she got married, but I know she's with Cap.
Speaking of Carter, I think they did handle the Peggy Carter scene very well, and now I really do want to see a Peggy Carter series because they made her into an interesting character. Like, you could tell she's done a lot in her life, and it's kind of sad when you see her in this movie.
Yeah, the
like-
Peggy scene. Oh, everyone who saw the first Cap, the woman who he was constantly with, that was Peggy. And for those who were wondering why didn't they mention her in Avengers, there was a cut scene where basically half the scene was product placement, so they kind of cut it because it was blatant product placement. And in that scene, Cap decided not to call Peggy because he had a file that said she was still alive, but he decided not to call her. So for years, ever since Avengers, everyone's been like, "You should call Peggy."
Peggy. I thought you said Penny.
Peggy.
Sorry.
And it turns out he did call her. Apparently after Avengers.
She's an old lady.
Well,
a
that was
very
obvious.
old lady.
She's a very old lady, but that's not the kicker. The kicker is that she has severe Alzheimer's.
Dementia and all that. It was
So every few minutes, she'll suddenly remember, oh my god, you're alive! And it looks, the way Steve handles it, it looks like it's happened several times before, and that makes it even more painful.
Because
Because
he's seen her like this
Yeah.
for a while now.
and that's kind of why I think she deserves her own Peggy Carter series, because they really made her into...
I don't think they're going to do a
No,
World
they're
War
not.
II series. Logistically, it's not going to happen. However, if we were to have like a Agents of S.h.I.E.L.D. episode that was a flashback,
That would
episode
be
to a bunch of
amazing.
other stuff.
with Howard Stark, I'd love to see that.
Oh,
To the
Howard Stark.
Yeah, to the founding of S.h.I.E.L.D. 'cause apparently
Only
she
one
did
more
a
classy
couple
than-
of-
And that was another
Stark.
thing I thought was really cool in the movie. They went back to the original S.h.I.E.L.D. base where Captain America was trained. That was really cool how they handled
that was.
And
And they found a secret S.h.I.E.L.D. bunker, which was basically the original S.h.I.E.L.D.
This is way before the whole Mexican standoff.
But this was more toward the beginning, where Cap and Black Widow are basically
On the
taking
run.
this USB drive and trying to find a place where they can read the USB drive and figure out what the hell is on it.
So the only reason they realized it's not what it was designed to look like was because it didn't fit Army's regulations
And
of
Cap knows
not being
everything.
500 feet from the bunkers.
So it was details. It was tiny details. No, what it was it looked like a armory barracks, and
But
Cap said, "No, that building is misplaced because
munitions can't be within a certain amount of...
500.
Yeah,
500 yards of
a bunker.
the
The
bunker
bunker.
barracks."
That'll wake up in the
Which
morning.
honestly makes sense.
yes, it does make sense.
And that's, of course, where we get introduced to Nazi GLaDOS, or
I-
Hydra GLaDOS.
I would not doubt that it's an actual Army regulation.
Yeah.
No,
Because they show that they put a lot of detail into
They
it.
do.
Like, even in the last movie, the Iron Man, I think it was the second one, they show Stark planning out everything, like how to make the element. What was it? Or
The
Tritium.
yeah, tritium. Yeah, the tritium heart thing. But yeah, I really thought that was amazing, and we got a cameo from Tommy Lee Jones as a picture, but that was a nice little nudge.
We got a cameo from Tommy Lee Jones in the picture, a cameo from Peggy in the picture as well.
Yeah.
As well as old Peggy, as well as a Howard Stark photo that kind of looked like it had been broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got the new king of cameos, Stan Lee.
Of course.
Yeah, this time the Stan Lee cameo was he was the museum security guard at the museum exhibit where they had like all of the Captain America stuff, like "Thank you, Captain America, for serving
The
our
Smithsonian,
Can
all
I
his
say what he
memorabilia.
said? At one point, Captain America.
Cap needs to get a costume because his Commander Rogers' costume is under lock and key. His Avengers costume is probably destroyed, if not also under lock and key. So he needed to find something to go to war in, like a decent battle armor.
So Stanley
gotta
was
wear a
the security
uniform.
guard there, and he noticed that the Captain America outfit was gone. So he basically, well, there goes my job.
Yep.
He is the
Well,
worst.
speaking of costumes, what did you think of Falcon's costume?
Falcon was
Falcon.
amazing.
It was.
I like the introduction of Falcon. He didn't
On
seem...
your left. On your
Yeah,
left.
the first
And the
scene
best
of
part
the
is,
movie.
from my point of view, you are on his left.
At the way the movie starts out, wow, we're really going out of place. Whatever. The way the movie starts out is Captain America and Sam,
Basically.
aka Falcon, are doing laps around the Smithsonian. You know, around the big pool,
Around the mall.
the mall.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're doing laps, and Cap continuously laps
Laps him.
over him to the point where he every time he'll pass him, will say,
Falcon was-
"I'm on your left."
And Falcon said, at one point says, "Don't you say,
I'm
don't
on
say."
your left. And he tries to catch up, doesn't work.
Louis did that at the end, though.
But yeah, they introduce Sam's character really well, and they show like what his motivations are.
Don't look at me. I do whatever he does. I just do it slower.
He was a paratrooper in doing tours in pararescue in Afghanistan, but they were very vague about
Him
like,
flying.
about like what he did.
All they supposed
They
to do is
just
he
ended-
flew.
Yeah, and they mentioned Project Falcon, which
And
eventually.
they also mentioned the fact that his wingman died.
Yeah.
Wingman.
Oh, God.
Broken wings.
Ow.
Ouch.
And it turned out that he was using a experimental prototype of what was called Project Falcon, which was basically just metal wings with a jetpack.
But my God, did they look badass?
They
They looked
looked badass.
badass. And I didn't understand how it worked. Well, like, it looked awesome, but I didn't understand how the like pop out Uzis.
But I think it had like kind of
I
like
think the
autopilot in a manual mode, you know, so it could go autopilot if you needed to attack
Yeah.
someone.
No, the Uzis I think were in special slots.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's just they kind of just like
popped out.
Yeah.
They kind of seemed like very Iron Man-ish, where they popped out of nowhere.
Oh, but what makes you think Iron Man didn't help create them?
It's-
Well,
Speaking of Iron Man, Tony's gonna feel like a jackass right now because the whole point of the movie is, like I said, Skynet.
Project Insight.
and
Project
he
Insight. It's
kind
basically
of improved
Skynet.
it.
Wait, we
He-
should probably explain what Project
that's
Insight
what I'm
was.
about to. That's what I was about
Yeah.
to do.
Okay.
Skynet, Project Insight, was basically taking 3 helicarriers and putting them up in suborbit, and basically they're scanning the Earth and
This
being able to
algorithm.
find using an algorithm to target potential threats.
Yeah.
Thing is, Hydra was going to abuse that and find any potential threats to disturbing any peace
Sorry to
ever, and
interrupt.
anyone who would
Ever. Just
who would ever like face against Hydra.
Yeah.
But sorry to interrupt, but should I mention who one of those threats were?
Yes, there's this one scene where Agent Sitwell is being interrogated by Cap,
Because he's
Natasha,
part
and
of Hydra.
Falcon, and he gets tossed off a roof by Natasha, obviously, and he gets picked up by Falcon, and he starts spouting off names of who Hydra sees as threats. It's like Bruce Banner, Tony Stark, you, Stephen Strange.
There you go.
Like, it's just Stephen Strange. Like,
the whole theater just gasps at that moment.
Like everyone who knows comics.
Yep.
It's like, wait a minute, Stephen Strange? What? What? And here's my issue with Stephen Strange. I want a Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange movie. I want it. But here's the issue. Between the Thor movies and Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D., they have continuously hammered in the idea that sorcery and magic is just science we don't understand. For a character like Doctor Strange, that's not how you can really go about it, because there's so much mysticism and so much mystery.
I did read an article about the new Doctor Strange movie, and I believe one of them mentioned that they were going in that direction. Like, what if a scientist went to Hogwarts, and that's basically the direction they wanted to go with. And of course, they're considering...
Well, that is the character. Is Doctor Strange? He was a heart surgeon. No, heart? Was it a heart? No,
some sort of thing.
He was a surgeon. He worked with, but his hand, he got crippled, and his hands were like mangled. So he tried to find a way to heal his hands, but in trying to find that, he ended up becoming an apprentice to a magician, and it became a journey of self-discovery and humility, because he wanted his hands to be better so he could be like this great famous physician, but he was very full of himself. So becoming the sorcerer, he learned a lot of humility, and that's how he became the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
And supposedly, the guy who's supposed to be playing as Stephen Strange is actually Johnny Depp. I heard they're in talk to try and get Johnny Depp.
Wow.
What?
His face.
Johnny Depp as Doctor Strange?
Yes.
It could work, but it could also potentially backfire.
I'm imagining Sweeney Todd in the Sorcerer Supreme.
I'm sorry, I'm imagining Captain Jack Sparrow.
No Willy Wonka. No.
I'm imagining Captain Jack Sparrow.
I have an itch on my nose and I can't itch it because I'm breathing.
Oh God.
But anyway, back to Captain America 2.
And Hydra, like I said, Skynet, they want to blow all their targets out of the sky. And
They said saving 7 billion people by killing 20 million.
Yeah, apparently the kill rate on those things is about 1,000 targets a minute, so you got guns pointed at pretty much...
Not 1,000 minutes.
Yeah, no,
Well,
they said
it was
1,000 minutes.
1,000
It's
minutes.
Yeah, they
minutes.
So you
said
gotta-
basically we have a gun to the whole world now.
Yeah, basically it's like Halo meets Saints Row meets Marvel. Like literally they look like those exact same helicarriers from out of Saints Row, but they have a lot more guns on them.
Which reminds me,
as
you
I
never
said-
explained why...
I was about to get to that.
Okay,
When they were at the beginning of the movie, when they were explaining like what kind of ordnance and what kind of shit is on these 3 brand new helicarriers, they explained that these helicarriers can be in suborbit forever and never have to touch down to refuel. Why? Because Tony Stark upgraded their engine system with arc reactor technology.
Repulsor, yes.
Yeah. So Tony's gonna feel like a bit of a putz when he finds out that Hydra was about to use his.
We did see a small little piece of Tony Stark industry.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it was
He was one
Avengers
of the
Tower.
targets.
Yeah.
He was one of the
One
targets.
of the first targets they ridicule when they're queuing up like their global assault. Although it wasn't global yet, it was just the Eastern Seaboard, because this is the Marvel Universe. Everything takes place in New York. Don't kid yourself.
It's the Marvel
It's
Mecca.
true. That or in Washington, D.C.
This movie was Washington, D.C., but it's because it's government shield, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And it's Captain America, and it's very patriotic.
Here, see,
And for some
Right.
reason, they were also targeting Obama. It's like, dude,
No. Obama isn't the president of this universe.
That's right.
He wasn't the president.
I don't
It was
remember.
some other random guy.
I don't remember.
Well,
But they were targeting the president. And let's be honest, how much fucking power does the president have?
Well, apparently in this universe, a lot.
I'm
just-
gonna say only enough to control the military and not much else.
There's Tim and I can tell you there's a lot of military leaders right now who are not happy with some of the directions
Oh,
that
no.
Obama has gone.
I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Was it?
Let's not turn this into
yeah,
a political
yeah.
thing.
Yes. Let's drop this.
We don't
No
want to lose.
politics.
We don't want to lose our
Wait,
audience.
didn't
Let's pretend we
another
watched
person
it.
they wanted to kill was a random?
I mean, they
Some-
were showing.
Yeah.
They were showing how it can go from people of power to just someone on
Who
the
can
street.
potentially...
That it's just potential. That's what it was. That
The
was what the
algorithm-
algorithm was. It was taking voting patterns, test scores, everything in their lives, and seeing if they could possibly become a threat in the future, and then taking that and killing them before they could become that threat.
In other words,
Bomb your SATs.
one, bomb your SATs. Two, stop putting your fucking life on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it,
No one needs to know when you want to eat breakfast or
Wait.
go to the
I believe they even made fun of that on Agents
yeah, I
of
was about to
S.h.i.E.L.D.
say.
Yeah, they did.
No, there was a...
Things have become so much easier since Twitter or something like that.
Yeah.
Because
But there's also when they at
Well,
the end they decided to release all the secrets of Hydra and S.h.i.e.L.D. on it, and they're like, done.
Yep.
They're up. Oh, and it's trending.
It's
That was the best one.
It's trending.
It literally is WikiLeaks.
Natasha sees it as the only way of stopping Hydra in one fell swoop is to screw over Hydra and S.h.i.E.L.D. at the same time by revealing all of their
Oh,
secrets.
there's no more
What?
S.h.i.E.L.D. There's
There's
no
no more
S.h.i.E.L.D.
S.h.i.E.L.D. S.h.i.E.L.D. does not exist after this movie, which is going to be a big question. What is going to happen to Agents of S.h.i.E.L.D.?
And what's going to happen with the Avengers too?
Yeah.
Although, we call it. As we all know, Avengers 2 is Age of Ultron, and if anyone has been paying attention, apparently it's going to be Jarvis is going to go rogue, and he's
What?
going to become Ultron.
Aww, I like
Jarvis?
I like Jarvis.
Everyone likes Jarvis, but apparently he's going to go rogue, and he's going to be Ultron.
Right.
That's the theory. That's the ongoing theory and the highest ranking theory right now.
All right.
Or it could
We
be-
focused on S.h.i.E.L.D. and the corruption within. We haven't focused at all about the Winter Soldier.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
there's
because let's be honest, this movie they kept on like hammering it in. It's the Winter Soldier, Winter Soldier, Winter
He
Soldier.
barely actually shows up.
Yeah, it's the sad thing. You really don't get any too much development on the Winter Soldier.
But that's also the thing. The Winter Soldier doesn't have any development to be had. He
Yes.
is an assassin who has been under cryogenic stasis.
Had his memories wiped.
Brainwashed.
The whole
Brainwashed.
idea of the Winter Soldier is that Bucky was abducted after he fell off the train.
Yeah, he got operated.
In the first Captain American movie,
They
and they
caught the
operated
time.
on him. And apparently, back in 1945, they had mechanical prosthesis of the level of the current Deathlock program in S.h.i.E.L.D.
Which makes you think,
Well,
what,
What the fuck?
Then again, they made Captain America back then, so.
Also,
Yeah, but they didn't have Captain America wasn't a robot.
uh,
They gave
Hey,
Bucky a
hey,
robot
he's
arm.
a cyborg then.
James, you also got to realize the Nazis, everything that America has today, that they stole from the Nazis, as well
They,
as.
they
Oh,
did,
yeah,
so
men-
that-
they did
and
mention
You
that.
have, to, you have to also realize that the Nazis are trolls. As I said, there's if for all of you who are a bit of a history or weapon nuts, like yours truly, look up Mouse Tank from German, German Mouse Tank. That thing is a very, very trollish weapon. It's about 28 feet tall, which is absolutely funny because you think, oh, it's a mouse, what's he gonna do? And you see a 30-foot behemoth rolling up to you, and some German guy goes, "Bitch, fake the Berlin."
Oh god.
yeah, but that's what I'm just going to call him Nazi GLaDOS. That's what they were saying. That
No,
S.h.i.E.L.D.
He mentioned that he was hired by S.h.i.E.L.D.
And they took in a lot of German and Nazi scientists because they were ahead of the curve.
Yes.
And that's why they decided to preserve his brain, because he's of strategic value to S.h.i.E.L.D.
And he did mention that at one point in the 70s,
1978.
he was diagnosed with
terminal cancer, and so they put his mind into the computer.
Computer.
Also, weirdly enough, as we called him GLaDOS, the weird thing is that in the universe of Portal, it was around the 1970s was the time when
Cave Johnson.
Cave
Johnson.
Johnson started going into the idea of brain mapping.
Maybe he is GLaDOS, and that's what all the testing was
No,
for. Like
no,
finding
no.
that
No.
superhuman.
No. It was
wasn't
his
a guy,
secretary.
no.
It's
It was
a
his
joke.
secretary.
It was
It's a
we
joke.
know it was a secretary. It was Carolyn.
It was a joke.
Okay,
Anyway.
back to Captain America.
But
I
yeah, the
think
Winter
they're going
Soldier.
too seriously.
The whole point of the Winter Soldier is that he is a He is a assassin. He was Bucky. They gave him a robot arm, and they brainwashed him into becoming their assassin. They kept on putting him on cryogenic stasis whenever they didn't need him anymore, and they would just call him up, wipe his memories again, and send him off into battle. And when he shows up, when he first shows up, and his face is finally revealed to Cap, he's like, "Bucky? Who's Bucky?"
Oh, poor Cap. You really felt that.
Yeah.
And then he started to remember, but they erased his memories again, which
With electronic therapy.
Electrocution. Yeah.
And that was kind of sad, you know. It was like he didn't want to remember his old life, you know.
I think he was trying to. He really was trying to.
But they decided to erase it.
But they decided to.
And he's a soldier, and he's been trained to follow these orders like forever. So at this point, he's like, "Fine, just put her in."
Yeah, basically.
Poor guy. That really looked like it hurt.
Well, they're electrocuting
Obviously.
his brain. They're killing brain cells. What do you think's gonna happen?
Obviously.
What else?
He started to remember towards the end, though.
Yeah,
He did again.
Well, when he's punching his best friend in the face, and his best friend is like, "I love you. I love you so much, Bucky. I'm bleeding
you're my
eternally, and I don't care."
You're my friend. Well, you're my mission. Then complete it. I just love that scene.
No. What was the last line? The one that actually got to Bucky.
It was a line.
Yeah, no,
I'm with you to
that was
the
it.
end. I'm with you to the end.
Yeah, or to the end of the line or something like that. It was basically a line that he had said to Cap when they were both younger. It's one of those trigger things. It triggered a memory, so it kind of brought everything else back, like almost like a cure for amnesia.
But at the same time, at the very end, Bucky did save Captain America.
Right, because he remembered them. I think.
Or at least somewhat.
And now it appears that Bucky, he's not being put under cryo sleep anymore, so he's going to be able to access more of his brain. B, without Hydra, or at least without most of Hydra, because we find out that Hydra is still operating.
Somewhere in Europe.
Without most of Hydra to keep him under lock and key, he's going to try and reacclimate himself to the world a little bit better. And he goes to the museum exhibit, and he sees the glass pane that because in the museum exhibit they have a glass pane for everyone on the Howling Commandos, and they have a really ornate one for Bucky because he was the only one who died.
He's the only one who died who served his country.
Yes.
Serving his country.
Yep.
The only thing I have to say about this scene is that it's post-credits.
No, it's not. All honesty, the whole scene, I felt it was an anticlimactic one for a post-credit scene.
It was, but at the same time...
In every what? You don't touch it. In every one of these movies, there's a like a starter post-credit scene, which is after like all the big title name actors.
Yeah.
And then there's the long post-credit scene, which is like the